everything, or you say you can't.
Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Ancient Baby Kyra. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go follow me on Instagram and TikTok. But today we're gonna be talking about SHEIN, the agenda that they have for influencers, and just taking a look at the influencers who were involved with this. My voice sounds like this, don't know why. Had a really rough weekend, but we're gonna talk about this because I think it is important for us to recognize when propaganda is being in use, and also talking about both sides of propaganda because I haven't really seen anyone else talk about it in this sense. So basically, let's start with influencers. So I don't think it should be surprising to anyone, or it shouldn't be surprising that influencers are extremely dishonest. We have seen it time and time again, but each time we're still shook as if we haven't seen this before. And I don't really understand why a lot of people are surprised at this. Their job is to make money from influencing people to buy a certain product, or to believe that a certain product will help them in some way in their life. Pay money for it, probably by using their affiliate codes and things like that. I am what is considered a micro influencer. I do have partnerships, I have affiliate codes. A lot of it's paid via gifting. I have gotten monetary compensation for some stuff too, but mostly it's just gifting because I'm a smaller influencer. Bigger influencers that probably have 100k and above, they do get compensation with money. So basically an influencer has become kind of a dirty word, and sometimes they're even mocked. And so you have places or accounts like Influencers in the Wild because they're just stereotypically shallow, narcissistic, and that's just kind of what their job entails them to be, to kind of be just this walking billboard to sell you stuff basically. So the more that they sell stuff to their audience, the more money that they get essentially. Even though I said all of these things about influencers, it is still a job for many people. A lot of times influencers cross paths with content creators, cross paths with musicians, visual artists, things like that. Social media is kind of essential to any kind of creative person in that realm, whether or not you want to be an influencer or not. That's pretty much the only way that you can market yourself, or people will find you. That's kind of where I fall in as a content creator. And as a content creator myself, I understand things that influencers get presented with. You want to make money from your art and from just doing things that you genuinely like to do. And a lot of influencers' content is selfies and doing paid promotional posts, showing off their brand new house or blue sandy vacations, whatever it is. I do want to say I understand that it must be really exciting to get your first brand trip, but what these influencers did and promoted is something that I personally cannot stand by, especially with all of the information that is publicly out there to people now, and just the amount of articles, the amount of environmental content creators, influencers that have been making an impact to fight against fast fashion retailers such as SHEIN. So let's start with SHEIN. If you don't know the brand SHEIN, you're probably not on TikTok. Even if you're not on TikTok, you've probably seen the billboards, especially if you're in LA. SHEIN, Fashion Nova, Cider, they're all kind of similar, but SHEIN is one of the leading major fast fashion brands. They're not just a fast fashion brand, they're considered I think the word is super fast fashion, something like that. Faster than a normal fast fashion brand compared to H&M, Forever 21, and Zara. And I've already made some videos about SHEIN and fast fashion, so if you want to watch the whole thing with that, go watch that. But I do want to say that I worked for a fast fashion giant, Forever 21, and I have seen the overproduction in person and the overconsumption firsthand, especially with our back room always being filled with stuff. And I mentioned this in my other SHEIN video. So I understand that people still need to make their coin and make their bag, pay the rent, pay the light bill, your phone bill, and I'm not against that. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be influencers. I'm not saying that people shouldn't do things to support themselves, but as a content creator, I feel like you have some sort of due diligence as to what you're supporting and what you're telling your audience to trust, because you obviously built some trust with your audience and they will buy whatever you basically tell them to buy, or they will think that they need this because you said that they do. I've been very vocal about the dangers of fast fashion for quite a while, and I try to convert my lifestyle to only buying thrifted and small business, but due to budget sometimes I obviously resort to fast fashion. My parents do too. This is from Forever 21, my mom bought it for me for Christmas. But I feel like the average person isn't who I'm talking about in any of my videos when I am addressing fast fashion and overconsumption like SHEIN. I'm not talking about the college student who also buys from SHEIN and Zara. They have to pay tuition, they have to pay maybe their rent for their apartment or things like that. They're living on their own. That is not who I'm talking about. The people that I am putting this video towards are people who are influencers that have the means, the material means to buy sustainably, but then still partner with fast fashion brands such as SHEIN. And I think it's just super excessive, and I think it's fine that we can't afford sustainable fashion, because sustainable fashion almost always equates to super expensive and only caters to the upper class lifestyle, which, I mean, I don't know how many times like people have to say this, but a lot of people get offended like, oh, I can't buy SHEIN. But we're not talking, I mean, I can't buy sustainable, I can only buy SHEIN. We're not talking about you, we're talking about TikTok influencers, the TikTok girlies that have loads and loads and loads that are literally dumping full of SHEIN hauls, and you're still doing a SHEIN all in 2023, not 2020 in the pandemic. And I will link some articles for y'all to read. You just know how bad it is. You can follow some of the environmental accounts. I will put in the link in the below if you want to look at that. Environmental impact is the one that I frequently look up their posts. So now we're going to talk about the brand trip in question. So I'm going to show you some of the TikToks. A lot of them are deleted due to the backlash. The person that is often talked about is Danny Carby. They deleted theirs, and like, I don't know any of these people that were mentioned, like no tea and no shade. I'm not familiar with them, and a lot of them, it was like one of their first brand trips that they got, so they're obviously super excited to go on this brand trip for SHEIN.
So it's day 2 in Guangzhou with SHEIN, and today we got to visit one of SHEIN's leading factories where they produce the clothing. I'm not gonna lie, I really expected it to look like it does in the movies, like really dark and dingy, but I was really surprised to see each piece handled with care, and it was also nice to see our SHEIN designers there, and so happy seeing their products being put into production. So after our factory tour, it was time to head out to lunch, and we got to try some authentic food, y'all. It was so good and so nice trying different things. And even though sometimes that gets a little intimidating, we were pleasantly surprised that we loved a lot of the dishes. Brandon got so into it. He even got like a personal demonstration on how to use chopsticks, even though I've been teaching him for like the past 3 years. The city is just honestly so amazing. We even went to the mall and did some window shopping before heading back. We're gonna be digging a little bit deeper into SHEIN, and I want you guys to come back so you can find out more. I'm so excited to share it with you. Bye.
SHEIN is trying to fix her image, and it isn't working. Fast fashion brand SHEIN invited a group of influencers to tour their factory in Guangzhou, China, and this is what one of them posted.
I was able to interview a woman that worked in the fabric cutting department, and you guys know me, she's an investigative journalist, so I asked her all of our questions, and she answered them honestly and authentically. She was very surprised at all of the rumors that have been spread in the U.S. There's a narrative fed to us in the U.S., and I'm one that always likes to be open-minded and seek the truth.
And the internet is just not having it. The video you just saw was posted by plus-size influencer Danny Carbonari and has already been taken down. And Danny has posted a new video, admitting that she
I should have done more research.
And
I think there needs to be a lot more transparency on their end.
And the one thing that was just really bothering a lot of people was with Danny when she says she is an investigative journalist and went as an investigative journalist. Okay, let's dissect that for a second. You are not I don't even know what I just said, an investigative journalist. You are not that. You are an influencer. You are getting money and you are getting paid by people who buy the things that you are promoting. I don't know where the investigative journalist came in. Maybe she went to school for it. I don't know. But even then, it's like, where are you investigating? What are you investigating in the money? Like, what are you actually investigating right now? It's really, really weird to me the way that this just went about it. So these are some of the TikToks that were up. So just by looking at the TikToks, it's very coming off as propaganda. Do I personally think that SHEIN made these buildings just for this trip? No, of course not. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh my god, just like North Korea, and people are building buildings just for that. No, I don't think they built it just for the brand trip, but I do think they build it as like kind of like a display, a floor showroom. But it is really reminiscent of North Korea when the people are like sitting at the computers pretending they have the internet when they obviously don't know how to use it. I do think that they did mention that this was like a sample manufacturing unit where they just like did the sampling of the clothes that they're gonna mass produce. It looks very high tech, and a lot of people have pointed out that there's no like safety signs, there's no like OSHA regulations or like big things that you need to have have like as regulations and stuff like that, which China does have these regulations, which is something that I want to like transition into, is the xenophobia of this particular brand trip, which I feel like not a lot of people talk about, in which it is mostly demonized. If something is made in China, it is often characterized as being cheap, not long lasting, and is often and just the horrendous work conditions that we have seen from undercover people that have gone into the SHEIN factory. So I think that is also something that we need to discuss. While we are criticizing these SHEIN influencers, we also need to make sure and put ourselves in check that we are not contributing to the xenophobia that comes with having things manufactured in China. Madeline, the owner of Tunnel Vision, does a very good job explaining it, so I'm gonna let her explain it.
Okay, so I have feelings about this SHEIN influencer thing. Now, I'm gonna say right out of the gate, SHEIN's prices, come on, there's no way that stuff's getting ethically made. I mean, just the prices alone, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. I say this as a person who has 14 years of apparel design experience and also does manufacture in China. Now, SHEIN recently had to move to Singapore, I believe is correct, for their headquarters. So I'm not sure if the factory that the visitors went to was in China or was in Singapore. But what I will say is that most clothing companies don't just work with one manufacturer. They have a number of manufacturers that they work with, and very few make their own clothes in-house. So the fact that they had a factory at all, the first thing I thought when I saw it is I was like, oh, they're doing samples there. They have their own sample house. But it did look like they were doing some light manufacturing there for sure. So that factory, some people are like, it's fake. It's not fake. There's no way that people in China or in Singapore care enough about us that they're going to create whole fake movie sets for us to live out our fucking fantasies in. Okay, they're just not. The reality is probably more that that is a facility that SHEIN owns and they control a little better, and it does look nice, and they are able to do PR and press things and film in there, but they actually are making some clothes, and then they are also probably subcontracting out a lot of their clothing production to other manufacturers, which is pretty standard. That is normal. It's more normal to use other manufacturers instead of doing it all in your house, like vertical kind of integration style. But at the prices they are charging for clothes, I have a really hard time believing that the people they're subcontracting this work out to, that those factories are ethical and above board and looking good. You know what I mean? Now, that said, the wake of this, I've seen so much xenophobic propaganda about people thinking that literally every factory in China is a sweatshop. And nothing could be further from the truth. There are a lot of factories in China that look just like that SHEIN factory that you saw. They're good above board factories. And beyond that, there's a lot of factories that aren't that brand shiny new. They don't look that clean and all nice and glitzy. And they're just normal workplaces. And they pay their workers well. You know, 90% of people in China own a home. And people have a pretty good quality of life. Those things exist too. Since 2008, the overhaul of labor codes in China has been massive, and China has lifted a lot of people out of poverty. They've basically eradicated extreme poverty in China. And a lot of the way we think about China is based on American anti-Chinese propaganda, because we're in a Cold War with them. Duh. So we think it's really interesting because I would not trust SHEIN. I would not buy clothes from SHEIN. I cannot trust that those clothes are getting ethically made. But the larger the larger discussion about Chinese manufacturing and, like, you know, how factories look and operate in China, that's different. It's not SHEIN specific. Yeah, there are factories that look that clean, that are that nice, and people get paid really well in China. Like a lot of them. As a designer, it's easier for me to find a sweatshop-free manufacturing facility in China today than it is here in the United States, and especially in Los Angeles, where I live. Where I live in Los Angeles, garment workers on average earn less than half of minimum wage because we have illegal sweatshops here. Yeah, so I just thought it was a really interesting thing that popped up. You see people on both sides, but I didn't see very many people saying, yeah, factories like that exist and they're really nice. But I honestly doubt that's how SHEIN specifically is doing most of their manufacturing. The prices are too low.
So I think it is super important to talk about this because we are just like going backwards in terms of environmental awareness, and just also going backwards in which we're like low-key enabling xenophobia. And I think the whole thing is just like, I thought influencers couldn't get worse, but they just continually do get worse. And I understand like brand trips are like super exciting and stuff like that, but literally I don't get how anyone could logically think that this would be a good idea and they wouldn't receive backlash from it. We need to hold these bigger influencers accountable and like be like, you know, you're supporting something really harmful to our environment. And I feel like this is one of the things where it's like, it's not only affecting the consumers, it's also affecting like our planet and our environment. Obviously, like, they can afford more than SHEIN, but obviously SHEIN is just targeting people. And also with the influencers that they did target was POC influencers and plus size influencers that you wouldn't normally see, and that SHEIN is like not even very supportive of in the first place. So it's just very hypocritical on both sides. So that's it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
little thing. Say you didn't feel it when you kissed me.